We can't see the video.
We are live.
On this massacre of school children in Pakistan.
You think we are a nation who is only known for terrorism, but you're not aware that we own it when it comes to optimism. You can keep on thinking of the odds and stay in fright, or you can trust the facts you're about to witness by sight. We're not the troublemakers that the world think we are. We have achieved a lot that is enough to remove this scar. Let's start believing that our economy holds great potential and step forward to explore the prospects, cause that's essential. We're not just a remarkable marks present only in the past. Instead, we still hold potential to show the world we're blessed. We were an economy who was followed by others. We got shattered a bit, but stood again to aim for treasures. We made mistakes, faced the consequences, and suffered. This taught us a lot and enabled us to keep ourselves covered. We moved hills, gained titles, and made many other records. Our nation survived the turmoil and made its way through hazards. How can you doubt a nation who doesn't give up at any cost? Pakistan always come back on track when the world think it's lost. We're tough, skilled, talented, and unstoppable. You can check the stats to see how much we're capable. No matter you are a national, regional, or international investor, our country has so much to offer. You just name the sector. We're coming forward with the conference of the year. Will you amiably join hands with us and provide your share?
Why an Australian software development agency built its backbone in Pakistan? The topic is very interesting. I'm Rashid Khan, CEO of Evacuation and representing JumpStart Pakistan, Melbourne. We are here on the topic of invest in Pakistan, and I got a very special guest today. Her name is Mellonie Francis, and she's the CEO of Rareiio. She developed this backbone in Pakistan for her software development firm, and she's a great entrepreneur. I am a personal fan of hers and her work. She's always there to help and grow people and other software businesses. So I will put back to Mellonie Francis and let her introduce herself. Mellonie, up to you. Welcome to the show.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Okay. Introduction on me. So I guess I was never in tech initially. I started my tech journey about 3-4 years ago when I built my first application, which was a sophisticated marketplace. Met my business partner while building it, who is Pakistani. Saw how much talent the software development industry has in Pakistan through that journey, and we decided to build a software development agency called Rareiio together. So since starting that journey, we've been able to expand the team from 3 to almost 20 people across both Australia and Pakistan. It's been definitely a journey of up and down, which I'm sure we'll go into. But so I guess what's been really cool is just being able to really experience the potential that Pakistan has and the talent it really has. Yeah, I've just been like completely fascinated, visited the country 2 times, and I continue to think that there's so much immense amount of opportunities for Australia and Pakistan to actually combine together to build awesome systems, software, and technology, both into the Australian markets, into the USA markets, and into the UK markets. That's where our focus is.
That's a great intro. There is a lot of history behind Rareiio as well. You've been part of Find Book Beauty. You founded that organization. So we would like to know a little more about that Found Book Beauty as well, and what brings you to Rareiio. So that journey, I think we would like to cover that one. Mellonie?
Yeah. So I was actually working in a corporate job, like many of us, and I was in banking, and I was so bored with basically being in finance and banking. What I decided was that I just needed to do something creative. So what I started doing on the weekend was like sort of dabbling in makeup and beauty business, and I was like, I want to do business. I didn't know exactly how or where and what, so I started doing this makeup thing. When I started this makeup thing, I realized that there was this huge need for automation within the beauty industry. I was sitting there like on Excel trying to figure out how to put in like prices, how much it's going to cost to travel. People would cancel on me last minute. It was a mess. And I was like, okay, this industry needs full technology to actually help empower each of the beauty businesses and beauty professionals who are running a business. So that's when I saw this problem, because I was experiencing it, and I was like, I'm going to try and solve this problem. I was kind of like, a hobbyist as a makeup artist, but I identified when I tried to open business within that industry how difficult and mundane it was. So that's how Fine Book Beauty started, and we ended up building a MVP. Then we ended up building a marketplace, sophisticated marketplace, which is similar to Airbnb, which enabled you to have your own website, which enabled you to have online bookings, achieve online payments, charge for late cancellations or no-shows, and empowered you as a business owner to be running a business online and not rely on cash on hand only, not rely on that someone could cancel on me and I could like waste time waiting for that booking. So that's how Fine Book Beauty started. And Rareiio would never have started if Fine Book Beauty actually didn't start. It was because of Fine Book Beauty Rareiio was born, because you see, when I was building Fine Book Beauty and I was looking for people to help me build, I went to India first, like a lot of entrepreneurs, and I had a CTO in Melbourne actually that was helping me source a talent. And unfortunately, we didn't have such great experience. And luckily, I met an entrepreneur in Pakistan who ended up helping me build for the second time Fine Book Beauty, because I didn't have success the first time, like many people building tech that's come from a non-tech. And he helped me build Fine Book Beauty in a 3 to 4 month period, which would normally take 12 months of build, which it just blew my mind, the talent he was. And he's now my business partner because of that. And because of the success we had in that application and that build, a lot more other people wanted to do business with us because they saw what Pakistan could deliver. And yeah, Fine Book Beauty led to Rareiio being born and led to us opening an agency which allowed a number of Australian entrepreneurs and businesses to access the talent from Pakistan, and the same talent that helped me build my first app. It was like me being able to open that door and that opportunity and that trade between the two worlds.
Certainly, the entrepreneur journey is as amazing as it could be. One thing leads to the other. That's the best part of entrepreneur journey. When you take the journey, you're on a path and you find something very fascinating and you say, yes, this is the path I actually wanted to be on. And I think that's how everything progresses, especially on the entrepreneur journey. Coming back to Invest in Pakistan, we are on the Invest in Pakistan page, and we are organizing our first virtual online conference in mid-June. So we are really preparing and boosting up all that, people who actually invested in Pakistan. So why Pakistan? So that was another question, that why you have chosen Pakistan.
Why not Pakistan is the question back at you. Look, I looked at the opportunity in India, in Bangladesh, in Pakistan. Pakistan was nowhere in my mind, but Pakistan is an absolute gem of an opportunity, because you see, India has had its growth. It's really, really had a nice growth, and it's into a stabilization. And then, I'm actually from Bangladesh, so naturally you would think I would invest into the country that I know and everything. And Bangladesh has had awesome growth as well, really nice GDP growth, and done really well. The country that stands out that hasn't had the same growth is Pakistan. What that means, right then, is when you've got bordering countries that have had the GDP growth, just like when you invest in property, when you've had suburbs have growth, the next suburb is going to also have the growth, because it's just a matter of time. So Pakistan's like sort of like ready, and it's ready for the growth. It hasn't had the growth that its neighboring countries have had. If you look at the wages. If you look at the age demographic, you've got like 68% of your population is still young. It's still waiting to serve the labor market. So that's why there's this ripe opportunity right now in Pakistan. And we haven't even seen tourism open up in Pakistan. There's just, all we've got right now is Pakistan and its software industry, which will help it continue to get an export. But you've got things that it's still not exposed to yet, such as when I went to Pakistan the second time and I visited some of the northern areas, it's got huge opportunities there as well. So I think that the labor, it's just ripe for investment because you've just got such a young population that's going to serve, their educated population that can serve. You've got the software, you've got the tech that lots of the young are focusing on that will be able to serve the world market in export. So yeah, I just think, why not? It's just like makes all the sense as to why this country will be the next sort of country after all the others now that will serve the double digits in growth.
Absolutely, I second that. There's a lot of growth verticals we are already identified under JumpStart, and the JumpStart is the mother company of investing is just one feature of it. But we got Lift 2019, which is a conference, and then this Invest in Pakistan is another conference of it. JumpStart actually working on 12 verticals. So there's 12 verticals or 12 domains of just investment opportunities in Pakistan. Agriculture is one of them. Technology is just one of them. Healthcare sector. And then we got tourism. There is a facade of the whole, the structural system is just waiting there for people to invest in. From that perspective, what do you think Australia and Pakistan have that trade link, or where the growth can go to? Because there's a lot of I can see there's a lot of young guys actually tuning in, and they want to listen from you because you are one of the ambassador of that investing. So they wanted to know what other opportunities are there in the Australian and Pakistan trade market.
Sure. Look, there's firstly two types of trade. One is Australia exporting back into Pakistan, and then there's Pakistan exporting back into Australia. So let me talk about the one that you guys would be most interested in, is Pakistan, what it can do for Australia and what you guys can probably export back into us. Pakistan has done a lot of, the bit that I know really well is technology, okay? So you guys have developed some already good applications that you're serving your market really well, like the food delivery. You guys have also figured out how to do kids drop off and off to school and pick up, because, you've also really covered that transport well, because it's an issue within your segment sometimes, driving or getting driving to and back from school, how the buses and supplies, car sharing economy, you guys have covered really well. Those kind of applications aren't necessarily here within the Australian market. So you guys have got some applications that can be very much used here. So what I would encourage is, if you do see those applications that are already within your space, you're probably not realizing that that's not everywhere, but it's not everywhere. And because you've got such big populations, you've been able to scale and test that into your population. Your country's about 219 million people big. Australia's 22 million. So if we know that a test market, it's worked for 219 million people have used the application and has exposed, it's easy for us to adopt. So if those applications are in existent and working, and maybe it's something you use every day that you go, okay, it's used, it's something that Australia can benefit from. Entrepreneurs here want access to that, because the build over there for you guys are much more easier to test, scale, cost-wise. Then being able to partner up with entrepreneurs in Australia to actually then localize the product and move into it, and helping them with already these products, exposing them to even the ideas that, hey, this is what we've done in Pakistan that's worked really well, and giving entrepreneurs some of that can really open up a lot of great opportunities. I know right now, for example, in Australia, our market is really struggling with the cafes and the restaurants having to give up so much margin to a company called Deliveroo, where they're giving up 40% margin just for delivering food and it's really painful for these cafes and restaurants. And I know in Pakistan you guys already have multiple food delivery apps in place that have different models in how they actually share the margin. And those kind of opportunities, if we could, get those things that are working within your segment and push them into Australia and have more competitors, so these poor restaurants and everything are not having to give up so much 30-40% margin, it could be a huge partnership opportunity. I think it's like, there's a lot of opportunity that Pakistan has, particularly in applications and tech, that it can then hand off or share or collaborate or partner with an Australian entrepreneur to localize and then scale the product here.
I agree on that. There is another thing which I always think that, there is one part where we can actually scale the things in Pakistan, and we see the potential and the growth, and we scale it up to that, 219 million people. And then we say, that many people can use that app, and then we can test the whole system. The other part of that is, which, I'm on that journey as well. So that's why I'd love to share that story, that the processes, some of the processes are actually really defined and well refined in Australia. Like, because I'm in emergency management, but just not emergency management, but there's so many other fields where the processes have actually gone through the grinding of the market, of the insurances, and all of them actually grinded the whole process. So because of that process, the process is so refined right now that if someone in Pakistan is a talent, there's that talent growth is enormous in Pakistan. And once this talent is testing along with an Australian entrepreneur who is actually trying to work out that refined process or automate that process, he can actually go back to that Pakistani guy and say, look, we can have a joint venture. This is the refined process. You can work and scale it up in Pakistan as well on that level. But in other way, you will get, you get the benefits of both. What do you say about that, Mel?
I think the partnership is everything. I don't think that the two entrepreneurs can succeed within their local markets without that partnership. I think partnership is why we've been able to come so far, because you see that diversity, and that's very close to my heart. Diversity leads to success, and people haven't talked enough about diversity of globalization and global talent coming together, because you think so differently. So you're able to think so dynamically, and this kind of diversity isn't enough in our world, where we are thinking about diversity also as playing within globally. And I think this is the future of diversity, is being able to be global thinkers and being able to partner. So I absolutely think that, with the Pakistan talent and Australian entrepreneurs, if you are able to collaborate together, just like I have with my business partner, really great things can be achieved. What I think I want to share, and the tip that I want to share, is it's really it's something that you have to understand, that when you are partnering together, that you guys are in different environments. There's different local currency, there's different expenses. So you have to kind of, when you approach an Australian entrepreneur, and an Australian entrepreneur approaches you, and you're trying to figure out, like, how are we going to collaborate, how are we going to partner, what's the right percentage. I think you have to understand also that in an Australia way, that it's expensive here in comparison. So think about, like, how much percentage you probably have to give up, more percentage for this person to be able, for it to be a worthwhile venture for the person in Australia. But the opportunity, it's about the big pie. Don't think about it as, what am I getting, what am I not? Just try to think about, like, I think that's something really hard, right? Like, how do you get the mind frame of living here, and how does that person get the mind frame of living over there? And how do you because sometimes you can't move past that to actually get to the entrepreneurial bit, because you're so stuck on feeling like we're not actually on the same, we're not 50-50 partners. Like, people get so obsessed with numbers and equity that they can't move to the next stage of, let's actually do something great. And I think that sometimes that's what's missing.
Absolutely. Collaboration is the key. And sometimes I feel like, there's a whole market needs to be explored. And you're on the Bondi beach with just a bucket, and you wanted to fill up your bucket with the water. And then you don't even see that, how much vast the seed is actually waiting there,
Yeah,
that much. But when you're collaborating with other people, you can actually joint venture in that regard as well. I absolutely
absolutely.
agree with that. I'm on that journey too, so that's why it's so relatable for me, and
Yeah.
uh, I can
Yes.
see that synergy in there. Um, what's because you develop a lot of other businesses as well, so you develop other business and business products, and you are one finest business product maker of that. Um, what's your plan of taking this further up? Do how you plan it?
Um, we work with really talented entrepreneurs to build amazing businesses for them. And we enjoy it so much because we get to see something that's an idea come to fruition, and we get to see something that's just a baby idea, and then it becomes this whole system or application that makes automation. I keep repeating the word automations because what I love to do, and what I've realized more recently is what I love is building systems that actually automate life, and humans don't have to do mundane things, and we can focus on creativity and thinking and strategy. That's what we should be doing, not those tasks that a machine can do. So that's something very topical for me. So how do I see the future? Look, I see us definitely helping entrepreneurs continue to build their businesses and giving them access to the talent to be able to build it. So the talent pool that we will build is always going to have a global play. It will always have some talent from Pakistan. We will bring the best top talent that is in Pakistan to the local entrepreneurs in Australia so they can build amazing, innovative tools that will never stop. And we will continue to invest into Australian talent because we understand this market. So what I see the future is global teams, being able to build phenomenal global teams. And right now we are playing into the Pakistan-Australian market, and we will continue to play into this market to create what I think will be sensational teams. It will be a great partnership between Australia and Pakistan talent. And we will bring some of the top entrepreneurs in Australia, and we will provide them with some of the top talent that Pakistan has and give them connections and access to build a multi-dimensional global team. So this entrepreneur is getting connected. So we see ourselves as a major connector, almost like a talent holder, and that opens and you can access this talent through us and through a safety net through us. So that's what we will probably play strongly into that. Maybe you could call it recruitment space, where we provide you that connection in. We also see ourselves being a real player in products ourselves. We've got big goals of developing some amazing products. We've got a product in the market, Fine Book Beauty, as you know, and we are on an accelerator program into India, and we will also launch into Pakistan as well. So we are very excited to see how we will localize an Australian product into those markets. And we've got big ambitions to play pretty big into the product market in automation marketing. Automations is our really hot topic for me. So we want to play we want to see ourselves as pretty much a product business and the recruitment business. So, product and service, you could say, we will play heavily into that. So we will own some core products we see that will help people automate their either sales, their leads, their business automation, and then we'll continue to connect that talent.
That's great. I think that's a great learning for all of the people actually listening in, and seeing the actual person who is doing all that is working on their journey. He's helping and nourishing the generation of Pakistan in one way, to get them tap into the Australian market. There's another thing I found, and I found it very interesting, that whenever you go to that the university graduates are actually coming out of the universities, and they got their own ideas in their own way, but when you speak to them from automation space, they quite quickly pick up those processes. They say, okay, this process, okay, we can improvise this process and we can make it happen like that. Like, when they come up with these gadgets and these new things they can do in even automation, they say we want to go one step ahead and who can do this. How you see that thing?
I think it's fantastic to have such good energy and be. I think an entrepreneur will always be an entrepreneur, and you always see they can't stop all with ideation, and they will continue to. I personally think it's great, and I think for me, my personal journey, and I think everyone's personal journey is very different. For me, my personal journey is that getting experience in a corporate environment or in a professional environment really helps you to shape you and really grooms you. And that's how I myself am so thankful that I did my time to really get those skills of like how to network, how to behave in certain ways so that I can actually run a business now, because entrepreneur will become a leader one day, of a company, and they have to have they have to show empathy, and they have to learn how to grow a business to 100 people. So I guess what I do encourage is that try to not just, get too focused on your idea, like have that, but try to also get exposed to a corporate world as well. So you can really pick up a lot of skill sets so that when you do go and launch your idea and you do grow a business, that you've got those empathy skills. So I think if you think about Mark Zuckerberg, and he was a very young entrepreneur, and one thing he struggled with, which we find out later, is that he just went straight into entrepreneurship. And there was a lot of struggle in how do I manage this now, 1,000 person team, because he's never worked in that environment. He'd worked in his computer. So what I think is we really do need to encourage those entrepreneurs to get socially, skills as well, and be part of teams, because you'll be managing a team one day.
You are big in that mentoring space as well. I call you my mentor too, because you guided me through some of the things and which I didn't know before, and say that's great. We worked in the same industry in banking as well. We worked in the same bank, but we never have our paths cross. But still, we still got connected with LinkedIn, and then how we started this conversation on. But I learned a lot from you as well. Your boldness of coming on board and delivering the message right there, and honesty is, I think that's one of your trademark. You have been so honest, and I've talked about everything, whatever you say, you mean that well, and I think that's a great quality of mentor. From mentoring perspective, Rareiio is doing really great. So when you think you're developing the talent and guiding them, because we came from that corporate background as well, so we know the corporate values are very different. You live and breathe those values, and there's a lot of structural thing you learn as you come through that path. But when you're developing that raw talent which is coming out of these universities in Pakistan, which we are trying to develop, what do you suggest would be the best path for them from the Rareiio perspective as well? That how you develop that talent in that on that path, how you bring them on that path, drawing these processes and action plans and meeting notes and things like that, which are really common for us, but they're not really common for these student graduates who are coming out of universities. So what do you think Rareiio would have that thing in future?
Okay, this is a really tough question, because it's something that I'm so passionate about. I don't know if you know, if you don't know, Rashid, but when I went to Pakistan in last October, I went and visited about 3 universities, and I talked to the head deans about talent and grooming talent, and trying to tell them like how you can groom your talent for success within industry. And we had a lot of discussions. So, I went to obviously FAST, and I also went to ComSat, and I visited some of these universities because I'm so passionate about how can the universities really help their talent to be prepared for industry. Because what happens is when talent comes on board, they don't have that skill set. And that's not just in Pakistan, that's across the globe. But in Pakistan in particular, we see talent coming out who've been spoon-fed, and now all of a sudden they have to think on their feet. They have to think out of the box. And our education system across the globe spoon feeds us that we can't have any dynamic thought and we expect someone is going to tell us at work exactly what to do, and then we're going to do it. We have to train that out of us. That's not how life is. Life is like you don't have the solution to the problem and you just get given a problem, and now you have to somehow figure out a path on how to achieve it. And a lot of the time what I do with my talent that is fresh off the thing is I have to, when they ask me a question, I have to ask the question back to them. It's really easy to give the answer and just say, do this. But I have to say, what do you think? And it's like, they're like, what? No, what? No one's ever asked them that, right? So first it's like changing the mentality that you are talented, you have the ability to fix this on your own. And it takes a long time to groom that out of you, what has been taught to you for 5-6 years. And that's across the board in Australia when we have talent coming through that's young, and it's like they just want to be told, like, tell me to do this and I will literally do it. And that's not what we want talent to do. So that's one thing we do is we try, I have a mentoring session with all of my staff one-on-one. So that's something that I talk to them every I talk to them every once a month about how did they go last month? How do they feel that they're progressing? Where do they want to go? And what do they think I can help them with? We have this conversation every month, whether it's on video, whether it's on chat. I touch base, and I'm particularly very passionate about female talent. I don't know if I've spoken about it enough, because you see the reason with Pakistan for it to progress, it needs the female participation in the market fully. And the only reason Pakistan hasn't had the GDP growth that Bangladesh has is because they haven't had the participant of female talent in the market. So what I specifically do is make sure that my female talent, we need to put more in, and we need to have more open minds about making sure that females are participating in the market. If that means we need to offer remote opportunities to them, whatever we need to do, we need to be open to this. So that's what we do. We do that one-on-one coaching. And I don't know how long I'll be able to do that for, because, my company's sort of growing, but I really love that. And so when I can't do the 360, and I call it 360 discussions, I'm getting my team leaders to make sure that they must have that discussion and report what was discussed. So I get that reporting to see what kind of coaching is going on. The other thing I've started up is every Wednesday, my team members and I have to do an activity, and I have to think about this activity like all week. What are we going to do that's going to do stuff? So one time we did a debate, so that could raise their communication skills, about whether we should continue to work remotely forever. And my team lost, unfortunately, but the other team, the other Rareiio team actually, and it was against Rareiio, but they took it out and they gave reasons as to why we want to be working back at the office. So another thing we did a yoga mindfulness class, and that helps you practice calm and how to manage stress. So in Rareiio, what we're doing is we're actually providing learnings which are different to the university learnings: mindfulness, communication skills. Last week, we also did a bug finding report. So everyone learnt about QA and how to sort of find bugs within a digital product. Even if you're not a QA, you could be a designer, and all of a sudden you're learning about finding bugs. So we want to make our talent dynamic. We want them to have skill sets that are broad. And I think that's what makes us unique, is that I'm so invested into talent and growing that talent to become more diverse than just within their role. It's not about a role, it's about trying to figure out what you're passionate about. Just because you studied computer science doesn't necessarily mean you're meant to be a programmer. You might actually meant to be something completely different. Until you get exposure to that, you don't know. Maybe you are supposed to be a team lead and a project manager, and you don't know until you do one of the practices, or you do one of these exercises on Wednesday in Rareiio, and you go, holy, I'm having a moment. This is what I'm meant to kind of be. So I want to give all my talent all these experiences that basically, open their doors to new training and opportunities. And we aim to do that every week.
There are questions actually popping up like anything, and I can just see one of the questions which came up. But how many team members can you deliver one-on-one? But that's a very hard question. It's a very hard question because
How many team members do I currently deliver one-on-one to? Is that the question? Like, what am I delivering one-on-one to, like, right now?
How many team
Like,
members you can do?
like coaching-wise?
Yes.
Or providing a client team members?
Like one-on-one feedback, and when you're.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Right now, I do about 20. Yeah.
That's a big number. That's a big number. I think there's another thing which grows out of this conversation as well, which is the leaders generate leaders. I have seen my managers and my bosses, and I won't call them bosses, like they are like family to me, because they have already groomed me into that my profession, and they always help me out. But the way I have seen is they develop you as a person. Like they can, a good mentor can develop you as a person, that you yourself become another mentor. So the leaders develop leaders. That's I think that's a philosophy which works, and I think that might be true for Rareiio as well.
Definitely. Well, I mean, if you groom your staff and you try to be the best leader that you can be, a leader follows what that leader treated you like, and then becomes a leader as well themselves. And that's absolute. And I know, like, some of my team knows how much time and energy I invest into them to groom them into being talent. And I want to share this story with you because I think it's amazing, and I think it's inspiring, and I hope it inspires everyone that is watching. So when I went to Pakistan in October, and before I got on the plane, okay, so I'd literally left my corporate job. I was doing my Rareiio and my full-time job for some time, like at least 8 months, and it was nuts, right? So I left, and I got on the plane the next day, like resigned, and I left. And what happened was, before I got on the plane, I did a video, okay? And I said, hey, Pakistan, like, I'm about to get on a plane to come see all of you and all my team. And if you're talented, I want you to reach out to my HR, and I want you to, like, introduce yourself, because I want to meet as many talented people as I can when I visit Pakistan. Okay. When I got on the plane, and it was 24 hours later, I looked at my phone. My HR had 5,000 connection requests asking to meet her. She was freaking out. I had 3,000 connection requests to try and meet me. And I met a few people, and there was one person that wrote to me, and his name was Wakas, and he really wrote me a compelling email. And he said, I'm a startup founder. This is what I've achieved so far. I've had an exit, and I'm looking for my next thing. And I think I'm looking to meet like-minded people. I think you're like-minded like me. And he wrote me sort of, his journey and his story, and it really captured my attention. And I told him, I want to meet you. This was just from an email and just from that video that he saw. And he came to my office, and we had a chat, and we had a really good discussion. I was like, damn, he's talented. And we stayed in touch. And in January, when my company was expanding, I was like, do you want to come and work for me? And he was like, yeah. And now he is one of my team leads in my digital marketing. He leads that team with me just from that email that he sent to me when I was visiting Pakistan. So, and he's someone that I'm grooming, that I'm very invested into. I see a bright future in him. Hi, if you are watching Wakas. So I guess what that exposes is, if you see an opportunity and you strike that opportunity and you kind of reach out to that entrepreneur or whatever, like he did to me, and we've got like we've got this like great relationship, and I see a really long-term relationship with us, where I will help him become the best he can be, whether it's an entrepreneur or whatever he wants to do, because of that one email that he sent and reached out.
I think that's very important, to get connected. If you are there in the market and you know how to write your journey, I think that was compelling to you, right? Because if he has written a normal email like, I am this, and I wanted to meet you and all that would not have that substance, or
no,
that wouldn't have urged you to go and meet him, or or vice versa.
Right.
But it just, that writing skill is very important, how you write your story, because if you live your story, I think you should be able to write your story. So if you're writing your story in that way, people will definitely follow you. They will They will fall in love with your story, and they will, try to connect. That's very important. So a lot of people have these connectivity, but how to get connected is very, very important. Secondly, there was another question came up, right there, and I just wanted to, capture that one. Someone asked how to develop their soft skills. So
Yeah.
I think by the meaning of soft skills, you understand, I understand, but yeah, I think, can you put some light on it?
I guess soft skills is like, softer skills, like how you feel empathy, how you connect with people, how you kind of have that difficult conversation. They're all kind of softer skills, things that people don't see straight away. Like, so how do you develop that? Good question. I mean, that is from experience, and that is from just going and seeing how others are doing it and really taking in and observing whose style of soft skill do you like and do you appreciate, and then practicing that. So to learn something, you really need to be open that I'm trying to learn something and I'm trying to identify with a leader of how I like that they, that they are operating. And like similar to yourself, like you said that you really like the honesty in me, and you identify that skill set in me, and you then mimic that, I would believe, within yourself. And if someone is trying to develop their soft skills, you need to surround yourself with leaders that inspire you and you are inspired by their soft skills, and pick up what you like about them and then mimic that within you.
I was having a conversation with Sam Cathon on the other day, and we were just having a normal chat, and then he was telling me that if you need to change something around you, you need to change. If you want to change yourself, okay, change yourself first. But if you want to change the dynamics of your entrepreneur journey, you need to change 5 people around you. You need to see who are the people, who the best people can get best out of you to grow you.
Yeah.
So if you see people around you, connect to those people who actually see positivity. And then obviously the mutual growth and collaboration is always there. But if you need to have that circle of 5 people around you who are always there and say, yes, we can groom you up. There was another question came up in there too, for the SMEs. So someone asked, what's your advice to SMEs?
Well, with small, medium businesses, I think it's really about you finding out who your ideal customer is. Like, you really need to know where you're playing, because there's such a big pool that you can play, and you can spend so much time in and money like trying to actually play into this big pool. So I've realized that you really need to know who is that person, like pretty much by age, name, industry, occupation, job. Who is your ideal customer? Map it out, and then do a campaign around that particular person that's in your mind that you think is the ideal customer. Don't focus so wide, because I know it can be like, oh, let's focus everywhere. That's really easy as a startup and SME to get kind of into that. You really need to be gung-ho about, this is my customer, this is who I'm chasing, and you need to go and chase that. If it's not successful, then change that ideal customer and run again, So I think trying to find that focus, and once you have found it, and if you don't know what that is, just look at what you're good at, or look at the customers that you have served already, and that's probably the customer that you can be your ideal customer for now, until you figure out who that ideal is. Ideal customers change all the time. Well,
true. I will just add to that one too. When you have a customer, don't think customer as a customer too. Think customer as yourself. You put yourself in that shoe and see whether you would buy that product or whether you would invest in that thing. So if you are able to answer that, like exactly the same as you ask those university graduates, what do you think? So putting that thing back on yourself as well, saying that would you invest in that product? Not, you have to be very neutral in that way. And then customer journey is very important. So it's just not you're contacting them and taking them on that, but you need to take them on a journey. You need to have that constant or consistent approach, which proves you that you are actually hungry for that, plus it proves your worth as well.
Yes,
Mel?
exactly. You need to build out customer. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Absolutely. I'm nodding because I agree with you. And I'm just thinking, I'm just so proud of you that you're doing all this as well at the same time. So like, I just love it that, really taking this, just seeing you fully in action so wonderful. So yeah, you really need to build out this user journey. And I really didn't know what the hell all that stuff was. It was like all crazy in my mind, but literally someone needs to touch your business 7-8 times before they're going to actually make a purchasing decision. And you need to know how you're going to have that, touch with them. What's that initial conversation? Just think about it. If you're going to an event and you met someone and then you meet up for a coffee, and then the next time you are at another event again, maybe together, and then what happens next? Maybe you kind of grab lunch together. How do you create that exact same journey on a digital way? Because you might not be able to do that physically because it's expensive to have scale to do that at a large scale. So how do you create that roadmap digitally through emails, through content, through which touch points and messages will you have? If you can figure that out, how you're going to have those touch points. I know it's kind of a lot to take in, because it was a lot to take in for me as an entrepreneur, like how to build that. Like I didn't even know how to even find emails, of a person to have a touch point was very hard at the initial stages. So you really need to figure that out. If you don't know how, like get mentorship, if you have to pay for that advice on how to get there, you should, because once you understand how to create that journey of a target customer and how you touch that customer, 7-8 times, you must figure that out, and then you can have enormous amount of scale in SME, enormous.
Another thing in there as well, like just taking point from your conversation, like invest in yourself as well. If you are able to invest in yourself, you are basically investing in a broader picture, in your business, in your country, but invest in yourself. Yeah, that's very, very important. If you need to get a mentor, get a mentor. You don't just wait there and wait for that moment of miracle happen to you. Just go and become that miracle. Find that miracle.
Sometimes you feel like, I can't afford something right now. Okay, then go and buy a book, and you're gonna have to it's gonna take you a longer time, but go and read that book so you can understand it. Like everyone's journey is their journey. You can only do what you can do, what you've got access to. But if you can't get access to a mentor, well then get access to the damn book that's going to mentor you to get you to understand what we just talked about, which is, how do you do that user journey? If you look hard enough, you will find it. If it's not just about excuses, I can't do this because I don't have a mentor. No, you can go very far with a lot of things. It just, sometimes it's a different path and you just have to search for that.
True. I think we are on the last one of our topic, but I think that's one of the hardest topic for you to answer. How would people like to connect with Mel and and the businesses in Australia? What sort of advice you would give? Connecting to you is obviously it's hard, but yeah, still. How would people connect with Mel and the Australian businesses? Like this is an advice directly to our generation or the viewership.
Okay, so I guess the thing is, if you want to connect with me or any entrepreneur here in Australia, you need to have a compelling story. You really have to have, what is it about you that, everyone's writing to us, think about it everyone's writing, I've got this idea, I've got that idea. I'm not that's not no entrepreneur has all the time in the world to go and read all these ideas. It has to be such a compelling pitch. It has to have a story that is compelling. So when I mean a story, let me tell you, when Wakas reached out to me, his story was that he had built a very successful delivery business, helping deliver gifts from foreigners to Pakistan families, and he had scaled it and he had exited that business, and he was working in that business and he was no longer empowered because he didn't own any of that sort of business to what he did own in the last 8 years. So he was looking for it. He was hungry for his next thing. That was his story. Then he pitched me some business ideas that he actually had, that he thought it could be really successful. And he could have then gone on, and I think he may have, it's this is what kind of returns it would have for you, numbers. in one really neat email. So if you are going to want to connect with someone that's raw and you actually have idea or anything, it's got to have like, material. It's not like, oh, I have an idea and that's it. Like, what's your story? Why you? What are the numbers we're talking about? What are the returns? Like, time is the only thing I can't buy in life. So you have to. That's the only one thing entrepreneurs can't potentially have enough of. So if someone's going to give up their time to connect with you and talk with you, and vice versa, I'm sure you're the same. If someone wants to talk to you, you're going to think, why? Like, why am I talking to this person? So the same way, it goes both the same way. So an entrepreneur is going to talk to you because you've really outlined your story, and then why, like why you, and how, and what kind of returns could they make, and you have to paint that picture.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mel, for your time. I actually myself, in that 45 minutes, 50 minutes conversation, I actually keep on learning from you as well, and I will keep on learning from you. There was a lot of things you touch base, and you kind of suggested to the young generation of Pakistan who want to collaborate themselves with Australian trade, and how your journey is. It's just so fascinating. Once again, thank you so much for your time, and we'd love to have you one more time on our show again if we could. Thank you very much, all the audience, of listening in and tuning in on the Invest in page. Invest in Pakistan is happening in 12 to 15 June. It's a virtual conference, so it will be the first of its own kind. I think the scenario we are in, I think it will be first Pakistan's ever a virtual conference. Plus, it's going to be almost the first one in the world too. So everyone just join us in this journey, and JumpStart Pakistan is presenting Invest in Pakistan. Thank you all. Bye.
Pakistan is a country with great potential. Now, Pakistan, in my opinion, is ready. Right now is the best time for investors to come to our country.
Now, Pakistan's stock market is booming. Stock prices are at their highest level ever, and investments are pouring in.
Spending more than $50 billion on energy and infrastructure in Pakistan.